Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Business Plugs Mixer. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the Business Plug. And so today we're going to talk about business planning. Now we're going to talk about how do you, let me make sure that everything is on Do Not Disturb so that you don't get to hear all the dings and bings and bangs. But come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome if you are on LinkedIn. Welcome if you're on Facebook Live or whether you're on YouTube. I just want to invite you to join me each Sunday here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Business Plugs Mixer. Go ahead and hit subscribe where you see the picture, where you're watching the video, and also turn on your notifications so that way when I'm on, you'll be able to come and join me. Today, again, we're going to talk about business plans. Like, I am getting ready to start a class next Saturday that actually helps business owners to create business plans. And so we're talking about the business model canvas is what we generally use to create a business plan. And in doing so, today I want to break down these key elements that you need to include when you're talking about your business model. Like most times people go into business and they just go sell something, right? They have a product or service that they feel like the world needs. And so they create something and then they put it for sale. Well, let's talk about creating business models. So that way we can have a concrete way of building our businesses and we'll have more longevity because it'll make sense. And we're not just throwing something against the wall and hoping that it'll stick. So the first part of a business model canvas is your partners. Like, do you have partners? Do you have suppliers? Who are you relying on in order to do what you need to sell or what you need to create? And do you have one channel of doing that? Or do you have several channels? A lot of times, especially people that rely on things from China, if they've never done business in China, they don't realize like the first of the year, China closes down their exporting. And so if you're trying to get products from China during the first part of the year, they shut down for the Chinese holiday and they don't open up. And so that means in the first of the year, unless you've already knew that was happening, you're probably saying, okay, they're not sending me what I need in order to create my products, right? And so in that case, I have asked many of my customers to find secondary suppliers. You always need a plan B when you're relying on someone else in order to do what you need to do. So you have a plan A, who's your preferred vendors, your preferred suppliers, but then you have a plan B. What if they can't come through? Have I identified where else I could get that product, that service, that piece that I need in order to be functional? And so that's the thing, is knowing who your key partners are and knowing what they bring to the table, right? And then you need to know like all about how they operate their businesses, because knowing how to operate their business is going to help you operate yours. So it's not just going to the internet and buying something. You really, really need to understand the relationship between you and your vendors and suppliers. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me. And so another thing is, what key activities do your business have? Like, what key activities does it take to get your product to your customers? You know, if you are somebody that cooks, then the cooking part, right? But before the cooking part, what about buying the ingredients and mixing those ingredients up? And, you know, where do you get those ingredients for? It goes back to our partners, right? Who do we get our supplies from? Let's say if we're running a food truck and we need to make sure it's clean and sanitary, right? That's number one. And then secondary to that, we need to be able to cook our foods and do the things that we need to do for foods. That's number two. But then also backing it up more, wholesome ingredients, healthy ingredients, clean ingredients. Like, do we have relationships? And I employ all my business owners to have relationships with the people that they need in order to do what they do. So building those relationships is going to be good. Understanding the key activities that it takes in order to get your business up and running to get your product or your service to your customer. Like really looking at that. And then another thing about looking at that is understanding where you're doing manual processes, like you're doing a lot of writing. How can you change that into automation? So anything that you have to do over and over and over again, have you looked at that thing that you're doing over and over and over again to see maybe I should automate this process and take me out of it? Thinking about those type things or a part of your key activities. What is it that you can do? Right. So when we're talking about, and in the end, I'll give you all the different parts of how this plays into your business plan. But right now, we're just talking about your business model, because before you can even plan it, you need to have a solid business model, right? And so the other part about that is your value proposition. What is your promise to your customers? Like, what is it that you are saying that you offer to your customers? What can they count on you to do every single time they do business with you? Do you have that up and running? Do you have that concrete that every time someone does business with you, this is what they can expect? What is your value proposition and what are you offering to your customers? And then what key resources do you have? There are physical resources, right? Where do you get those? Well, who do you get them from? Like, what elements do you use? Are you using electricity? Are you online? Is it a brick and mortar and they have to come to where you are? Like, what can they count on when they're talking about your business and you? When you're thinking through your business model, do you think about, okay, these resources are what I need? Again, what materials do you need? What in the case of the food truck, going back to that idea, what menus, recipes do you need? Who has the best items that you can have for your business, for your services, and understanding that resources are key, and knowing where they are. Again, planning. I cannot tell you how much planning of where you're going to get your resources. And in this day and time, anything could happen. That's what COVID taught us. COVID taught us that anytime anything could happen. And so we need to be able to work in brick and mortars, but we also need to be able to continue working online. You know, a lot of the restaurants never thought about having drive-by services until COVID came. And that was the only way they survived is, okay, you call your order in or you punch your order in the computer, and then you come by and pick it up. Before, it was dine in only, right? And so it pushed us to think about things a little different. Our business models now, or if they are to be well, they're going to be both online. You're going to have an online presence. You're also going to have, if you have a brick and mortar, you're going to have a brick and mortar presence too. And you're going to think about, how can I do business if I'm not allowed to come to my business? If my business is not open, how can I still function? How can I still make money, right? And then customer relationships. The customer relationships. A lot of small businesses that I see, they are doing one and done. What that means is they will sell a product to a customer and that get the money and then they're done. But there's so much they're leaving on the table, because you have to think about, how can I create a relationship with my customer? How can I listen and get that invaluable feedback? And my customer will tell me what it is they are willing to pay for, and how I can up level my products, my services, so that I am creating customer journeys for my customers. So it's not one and done. And I'm not chasing customers. I'm actually out here and I'm attracting the customers who want my services, who are in need of my products. So the customer relationship is paramount to a business model, because without the customer relationship, if they don't know, like, and trust you, they're not going to spend their money with you. So it must be very important for you to have conversations with your customers, to understand what their needs are, to understand what they're willing to pay for. And also, sometimes you can get ideas on how you can perfect your service or your product simply by listening to what the customer says. So being able to listen to the customer, creating a two-way relationship, right? Where you're not just doing business with the customer, you're actually understanding, what's their story, what's their backstory, what's important to them, what is it that they are wanting when they come to you, and why do they come to you as opposed to going to other people? What pain points do they have? Like that whole conversation with your customers, knowing them intimately as far as their holidays, their what's important. If they're working jobs, how can you save them time, save them money using your product, your service? So just having those conversations is something that most people don't do. They just take their money, give their product, their service, and move on next. And you miss out. You leave money on the table when you do not build customer relationships. Another thing we need to talk about is the channels, like your distribution channels. How do your customers get your services or your products? Are you where they are, or do they have to come to you? Are you available through mail order? Are you using the mail? Or another thing is, can they call you and get an order shipped to them? Like, do you have that capacity to ship things to them? Anytime you limit how you deliver your services, you're limiting how many customers you can do business with. A lot of people with brick and mortars want the people in that general area to come do business with them. But in all actuality, if you can infuse shipping into your business model, then you just open up yourself to the world. Like you just open up your business, even though you're local and you're performing and selling local. Once you add shipping or automation, like it can be electronic. If you can email it, if you can email them a plan, or if you can email them a recipe, or you can email, something to them that's tangible, something to them that will make their lives better. You just open your business up to the world. A lot of us think right around where we are. The only people we're going to do business with are those within the reach of our city, our state, or where our location is. But once you infuse your business with something bigger, then you are able to open yourself up to the wide world, like, and get contracts. One thing that I am on right now is trying to help people get contracts, get certified with the state, the government, federal government, or even locally, so that they can get contracts, so they can stop doing the one and dones, because you cannot grow a business doing one and dones. You have to create customer journeys. You must create recurrent customers. You must create repeat customers that keep coming back for your service, your products, if you're planning on scaling your business to grow bigger than where it is today. Like, it's imperative. You have to do it. There's no way around it. And so understanding how many distribution channels you have to get your product, your service to your customers is going to help you to think through, how can I make my products, my services more readily available online or through shipping? Like, those are two ideas you need to think about. And then customer segments. A lot of people haven't have segmented their customers. And so you have to understand how to segment your customers so that they can buy from you in Wow, we just we just had a power outage. I was going good, but we was talking about. I'm glad it held on to my thing. So let's see if we can do this again. But I don't know what happened. We were just rolling right along, and all of a sudden, bloop, there it went. But in any case, we were talking about customer segments and how we can get your businesses infused with those things that will help your business to do well. So let's start over. So when we talk about the channels, which is where we was talking about the business channels, like, how do you get your business, how do you get your offerings out there to your customers so that they can get your product, your service, without a lot of hassle, right? And I was getting ready to talk about customer segments. So a lot of what I find is when I'm doing email marketing, when I'm setting up email marketing for people, I find that we have not segmented our customers. Like there are so many segments that you could do for your customers by age, by gender, by occupation, by status, whether they're married or whether they're single, by their household incomes, by their children, by what languages they use, what transportation they use. You could do it. It depends on your business model. But if they have children, like what are their children into? What sports that they like. There are so many segments that you could set your customers up in so that you can talk to them a different way. Like if I know my customers are into baseball, football, if I know that's what they are, then I can talk to them in those languages. And they're like, okay, this person gets me. Your customer, when you're creating customer journeys, it's going to be important for you to segment your customers so that you know who you're talking to, so that you speak the language that they can acclimate to, and so that they'll know the relationship. We talked before about the relationship. That's how you build the relationship. Is if you're talking to me about business, like people know I adore startups. I adore startups and businesses that are struggling. Those are my clients. And so if you have a conversation with me and we're talking about startups, then you're going to have my ear because that's my wheelhouse. That's where I live, right? That's the thing I love. So understanding your clients, your customers, and what their likes and dislikes are is going to help you build those relationships. And when you can segment those likes and dislikes, it's going to help you to talk to them in a voice that they'll understand. And so a lot of people don't get that. Like they don't understand that segmentation is great when you're talking about your customer base and then your revenue streams. So for a while, a couple of years, I was one of the people in the Act Like a Success School of Business under Steve Harvey. And Lisa Nichols was his, at that time, I don't know if she still is, but at that time, she was his life coach. But Lisa told us about when she first got started in business, how a billionaire told her when she first got started, like, you're doing well now, you're starting to make money. So now that you're starting to make money, you need to think about different revenue streams. And he was telling her that you need I think he said it was 5 to 6 for herself to live the way she wanted to live. And then you need 7 or 8 if you're going to create generational wealth for your children and for your descendants. And so in doing so, Lisa taught us, I can tell you 19 ways, no question. I can give you 19 ways of making money with one idea. A lot of the business owners that I get, their revenue streams, they feel like a revenue stream has to be a different thing. But one idea, I promise you, one idea, I can show you 19 ways how to monetize that one idea. Thanks to Lisa Nichols and her broadening our minds with thinking, oh, that's right, because there are so many things you can do with one idea. Like Steve, for instance, he does one thing, he tells jokes. And so at that time when we were in that class, he had 8 different shows on where he was just telling jokes. But he was doing it on Family Feud. He was doing it on his TV show. He was doing it on his radio show. He had come up with some other things, other shows that he was doing. And all of it was about telling jokes, the one thing he does well. And he does that very well. And so understanding how to become a master in one thing, like I get the multi-passionate people in the world. I am not talking to you. Be multi-passionate. I'm talking about the people who feel like they must do more than one thing in order to make money, in order to have revenue streams. Those people, if you can just be great at one thing, like be excellent at one thing, what happens is there's an African proverb that says you can do more watering one plant than watering many. Because when you have these many different types of businesses, you're actually diluting your effectiveness on the one. So what I teach and what I tell people is start with one idea and let that one idea fund anything else that you want to do out there, but do that one idea well. Like People know me about business. And so they don't know me about doing hair or selling tires or doing, if you say anything to them about me, most people will say, oh, yeah, she's the one that does help businesses. That's the one thing I want to be known for. That's the one thing, that's my passion. And so, do I do other things? Yeah, I write books, I host events, I go and do speaking engagements, I go travel and do different things. But the one thing that I am known for is assisting new and struggling businesses. Those businesses that are brand new, that are still trying to figure it out, I give them the shortcut to figuring it out. And those businesses that are struggling, they've hit a wall. They've been doing well, but all of a sudden now they've hit a wall. And so now they can't get it going. I help them figure it out, because what my business does is strategy, solutions, right? And business development. Those are three things we major in. So you as a business owner, what one thing do you do and you do it well? Like, what is that one thing that every time you do it, people are like, oh, girl, you do this well. Oh, yeah, you need to go in business like this, or even if it's, girl, you should write a book. People tell you that one thing, you should write a book. Whatever that one thing is, having multiple revenue streams, doing that one thing, it becomes easier and it makes you an expert, as opposed to diluting and doing, like, again, like hair and books and business and this and that and the other. Again, this is not to those multi-passionate people who you're multi-passionate and so you do things a lot of different ways. The other part is the cost structure. Okay, this is what I run into with new businesses. Most new businesses don't price right. They do not price their products right. They go in either too low. Most times that's what it is. It's too low. They go in too low because they feel like, if I have my products really low, then people will come and buy from me. And that's not always the truth, right? And so for that reason, I try to teach them how to price their businesses the right way, how to price their products, their services the right way, because if your business is not making money, it's a hobby. It's not a business. And so in order to be in business, you're going to have to make money. And your cost structure, that how you get there, there's a whole science, there's a whole method, a whole formula, how you come up with what you're going to charge. But I teach them to price correctly. That way, there's no haggling. There's no, well, what if I take $5 off? Like, when people tell me they're trying to get me to lower my prices, or they're trying to get me to give discounts, your price is your price. And who you discount is who you discount. But your price is always the price, and the price doesn't change. And so getting them to understand how to come by that price has been one of the pleasures I've had in working with new businesses. So let me tell you. So now we've talked about the business model. So like I said, before you can even do your business plan, you need to have a business model. You need to understand, what business model do I have? Or do you even have a business model? Like, that's important. And so when we're talking about creating businesses using canvases and making business plans, like, that's a whole science to that. There's a canvas, there's a business model canvas that can help you to create the business that you want. The business is in your head. And how we get there is, I'm looking it up as I talk to you, but how we get there is we go through the canvas and we make sure that we have answered all the different questions of the canvas. So very simple, very similar to the business model canvas is the business plan canvas. And so that's where I'm headed. And so this is all about creating your own business plan. Like, you need to understand the different elements of a business plan, so that when you're creating your business plan, then you'll know that you have holistically thought about your business. It's not about just creating a plan. It's really about understanding your business and being able to tell people what your business is about without them walking away thinking, what in the world? What is that? And so it's a succinct way of creating a business plan for your business that becomes fundable, that helps people to get money, that helps people to get their um, their partners. If you want to bring somebody on the team, if you want to help people to understand exactly what it is that you do, then that's it. So at this time, we're going to talk about the different types of plans. So I am going to share again. This has been quite a day. This has been a day and a half. I teach adult basic education, and one of my students reported that she has COVID. So that's been interesting. But let's talk about the business plan. So when you're talking about a business plan, do you know there are more than one type of business plan? There are many types of business plans, but the ones that we're going to concentrate on tonight are these three. So the first is like an informal plan. It's like when you first learn that you want to start a business and you sit down and you talk about, okay, what does this business look like? That can be written on a napkin, on a notebook, an envelope, anywhere, because the only eyes that see it is yours. And so that informal plan is just so you wrap your mind around what this starting a business looks like. The other part is an operational. The second part of a type of business plan is operational. Now, this is the one that's internal. So it may have a lot of details in it that you won't share with the general public. It'll just be you and the people that's working on your team. And so that operational plan just basically talks about how you're going to operate your business. And then there's the formal plan. And that's the one that I help you with. So when you're talking about a business plan for your business that you're going to try to get finances with, or you're going to let people on the outside look at, then that's going to be very different. And that plan is the one that you need to really think through all the different elements of it, like knowing who your customer is. Like, do you know who your customer is? A lot of people say, and then I use this analogy all the time, because a lot of people, who, especially those who sell shoes, will say everybody has feet, so everybody's my customer. And that's simply not true, because everybody doesn't like the same thing. People have their preferences. And because people have their preferences, no product is 100%. I'm sorry. I know that hurts your feelings. I know people think, well, everybody who has hair. I was looking at College Hill. If you all watch College Hill on BET, and they were talking about, Nene's team, Nene Leak's team. They went through and they made this hair thing where you sit up on it and it puts a wig on your head. And that was how they took points. They deducted points from them, because Nene team was like, well, everybody has hair, and this is for anybody that wants to have hair. But some people like to go bald, so they're not included. They wouldn't want to go to their invention and get a wig put on because they like going bald. Like, it doesn't include no product, even though we think it is. There's no product that's 100%. There's just not, because people have their preferences. And because of that, you as a business owner need to understand that when you're talking to customers. So knowing who your customer is, that's element number one. Do you know who your customer is? And then knowing who your customer is, do you know what their pain points are? Like, have you really built up a relationship with your customers where you understand what it is that they need from you? What is their pain point? Why are they needing to buy this service? And knowing who are they getting that from already? Like, what alternatives out there? So when you look at, go back to the food truck, right? When you look at the food truck, then who are their competitors? What ways are those people who go to food trucks are getting food today? Well, they're going to restaurants. They're doing it themselves. They have somebody, you have people delivering like Grubhub and all these other places. Like, you have to really think about what is the alternative. So that's the second part. How are they getting served today? The other part is So now that you have your customers, and let me go here and stop sharing that so that I can give you the actual canvas for us to go through. But when you go through and think about the different portions that people need in order to the different things that people need in order to build a business plan. I'm trying to get there, y'all. You're going to see that it's very similar to the business model that we just went through. What I'm trying to get is I'm trying to find one model that I can explain to you because mine has went hidden. The one that I normally use has went hidden on me. So I'm trying to find one that I can set up here. It's crazy. And all the ones that I have now are bringing up the one that I just covered with you guys. And that's not what I want. I want one that talks about your exit strategies. Like, do you have an exit strategy? When people go into business, they be like, well, I'm a brand new business. Why should I be thinking about closing now? Well, everything that you do in your business, when you're trying to go up to start a business, everything you do should go toward how do you want your business to end? Like, people don't think about that, but you should. How would you like your business to end when you're done? When you're done doing business, are you going to sell it, or are you going to uh, pass it on to a relative, a friend, or are you just going to close the doors and say, well, that's it, we're done? So having that idea in the front will help you when you're ready to close your business, and it's going to help you to know how you're operating your business. If I'm going to close my business, then that's going to be very different. If I'm going to sell it, I want to sell it at the highest dollars possible. So if I'm going to sell it, then I'm going to sell it. This is a great one. When I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell it at the top dollar, which means I have to have it up there at the top dollar if that's the money that I'm going to get out of it. So just thinking about that and just thinking and understanding what it is you're going to do with your business in the front end will help you when you're getting ready to sell your business in the back end. So that's the thing. So I've worked with two different companies who taught a curriculum for business plans. And one was the co-starter, right? The co-starter, which tells you how to sell, how to build your business. And the other was the Kauffman Foundation's Fast Track, which tells you how to do your business. And that's the one that I'm actually teaching out of now. So when you're talking about creating your business plan, and everyone that I'm pulling up is pulling up the same one that I just went through. Why is this doing this? It's craziness. But when you're talking about it, knowing who your customer is, distribution channels, like we're talking about, how do you get your services to your customers? So you use distribution channels. Well, what does that look like? And how does that play into the role of your business plan? You need to be able to tell in your business plan how you're going to distribute your product. How does your customer get your product? Do you ship or not? Do they have to come pick it up in person? Can they get it in a different manner? So knowing that and knowing how you're going to set up your distribution channels will help you. Also, your structure. Like, do you know if you're going to be an LLC, or if you're going to be a corporation or S Corp, C Corp? How will your business be structured? A lot of people will structure their business as a sole proprietorship starting out. And while that might be good starting out, that is actually the most risky form of business, because you have to put insurance or something. You have to put a hedge between your assets and your business, or your business is liable. And people sue for all kind of things. So knowing how, talking to a legal professional who can help you figure out how your business should be structured is very important. And you can do that. A lot of people who come to me, I always refer them to their local small business development center. And you can go to sba.gov. That's S as in Sam, B as in boy, A as in apple, dot gov. You can go there and find the small business development center that's near you. In fact, they will help you with the entire business plan, regardless of where you are in the United States. Finding one that's located near you is going to be the biggest, freest tool that's going to help you get that business plan together. And they help you, and it's for free. You pay for them when you pay your taxes. So shout out to the SBA and their business partners, the small business development centers that are located in every state, and um, mostly in the major cities. You can find them. There's some in the rural areas too, but they are mostly for sure in your major cities. So if you live near a major city, then you'll have it. So I'm going to use this one. I think this is cute. Well, I said I was going to use it, then it disappeared. And so this is Amazon, supposedly Amazon's business model. We don't know. I'm still looking for one that will be that'll be useful. So structure. The first one, first part of the business plan, structure. Second part of the business plan is operations. How will you perform activities in your business? Like, what does that look like? Do you have what's called SOPs? And those are standards of procedures, where if something should happen to you, God forbid, if something should happen to you, somebody can pick up a document and your business can continue even when you're not able to do business yourself. So the second part of that, number 2, is your operations, how you're set up. Do you have that written out somewhere else? How you're going to do this thing, that sell this product, this service, and how does it work? And have you created a customer value cycle where you can walk through and say, well, the customer calls me here, then this happens, then that happens, and then they get their product. Like, have you walked through that value cycle to see if you have it up, if it's working the way you think it is in your head? Have you experienced it? So operations, marketing. How will you market your business? So when you're talking about in your business plan, you're talking about, what does it look like when I'm marketing my business? Am I marketing it to the right people? Because the numbers say if you market to 100 people, only 10 of them will want what you're selling. And of the 10, only 1 to 3 of them are ready to purchase. Wouldn't it be better to find out what that 10% is, who they are, and just market everything to them, rather than waste 90% of your money and your time and your resources marketing to people who really don't care? So understanding very, very succinctly who your target audience is, and then, zeroing down on those people, talking to those people, getting in front of those people. I love when people say, girl, I see you everywhere. I'm everywhere business owners is looking. And that's the only place I want to be. I don't want to be out for the general public. I just want to be where the business owners are looking, because those are my customers. So understanding marketing. And then the difference from marketing, with your marketing, you also need a sales strategy. So there are certain items that if it's a must-have, like everybody needs deodorant, toothpaste, right? Cleaning stuff. And you don't really have to push those to people. More or less, you have to put it where they see it, they'll get it, right? Whereas if it's something people buy as a luxury item, then those things, there's a whole different sales strategy for those luxury items. So you have to think about, is this something people, when they see it, they're going to say, oh yeah, I want it? Or is it something that I'm going to have to show them why, the benefits of it, of why they really, really need it? So when you're creating your sales strategy, you want to make sure that you have done that, where based on what it is and how people use it. And again, that goes to knowing your customers, because when you look at how your customer spends their day, you know that, okay, they're going to use this toothpaste in the morning. So I need to needed to understand that it's a whitener, that it fights cavities, that it does all these things that they're wanting to happen in this toothpaste. So that way, I just need to put it out there and tell them what it does. And the people who are looking for those benefits will come. I will attract them. I don't have to chase them. So understanding that. And then the other thing is your business finances. So in every business plan, I don't care whether you're trying to get $2 or whether you're trying to get $200,000, you need to understand your cash flow statement. Does your business have a cash flow statement? You need a income statement or a profit and loss statement. And basically those statements show how your sales, how you get your revenue in, and how much it costs to do what you do, and then how much you spend on your fixed costs and your taxes and things. So that's the income statement or the profit and loss statement. And then there's the balance sheet. And the balance sheet shows your assets and liabilities. And so those three forms are needed with your business plan. I don't care if you're trying to get $1, if you're trying to get whatever. So in your business plan, another key area that you need to have is the industry. When I talked about marketing, you need to be able, in the marketing area, give the industry information. Do you know what's happening in your industry on a global, national, state, and local level? Like, do you know what's happening in your business? Are you just upselling something? You're really not thinking about what the Department of Labor says about that particular service or that particular product. You're just out here selling something. So understanding what investors and what people who are trying to fund businesses want to know, they want to know that you know what's going on in the industry, and that you have the foresight to understand what is happening in that industry on every level. We talked about exit strategies. We talked about you need to understand under your customer segment what's their buying patterns, like understanding them and understanding when do they buy, when do they need your service, when you probably going to get the most sales. In every business, I don't care what you sell, there are ebbs and flows. So there are times when your business is up and there's times when your business is down. And most people only have one train of thought when it comes to their business. So I teach them, when your business is in the ebbs, right? When it's in the flows, you're good. But when it's in the ebbs, those off months when people aren't coming and they're not buying, how can you get out of your normal routine and put your business in front of more people so that you can still get money even when your business is in the ebbs? So understanding exactly how business works. Like ideally in people's head, they think, okay, when they do a business plan from January to December, they say, I'm going to make the same amount of money every month for 12 months. And in actuality, that's not true. There's going to be some times when you have some ebbs and other times when you have flows. And so you, in your business plan, need to articulate that to a point that is understood by the persons that you are trying to get to support you. So that's what we're talking about. Whew, that's what we're talking about. Just trying to understand all the different parts of a business plan. Again, your structure, how you're structured, your operations, how are you going to get this product, this service out to your customers? What does the back office look like? And a lot of people's back offices are scary, but how does that back office look? And then looking at your marketing, how are you marketing? It was the lady at Facebook that says marketing gets you known and sales gets you paid. So understanding the marketing strategy and how it should be married up with your sales strategy. Then also understanding your distribution channels. How are you going to get these products, these services out to your customers? Understanding your business financials, those three statements that you really, really need to have. Understanding customer segments, understanding how to build customer journeys. Like there's a whole plethora of things that you need to understand about your business in order for your business to be long standing. Anybody can open a business, and that's not a problem. You can pay in Chattanooga, where I live, you can pay $30, 15 to the county, 15 to the city, and you can open a business. But opening a business is the easy part. Keeping that business open, keeping that business productive for the long term takes a little bit more concentration, a little bit more planning. And that's what a business plan will do for you. And the final section I want to tell you about is customer service. It's imperative, you must interact with your customers when you're not trying to sell them something. How can you, instead of pulling information from them, start pushing information to them that's helpful to them, that will help them to make decisions about you and your business? My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug, and I've been rambling for the last 45 minutes about business models and business plans. If you have questions, please contact me at getthebusiness.org, or you can leave a comment in this video. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm bringing a guest with me. I will have Dr. Theo on with me next Sunday. He's going to come on and talk about math. He's going to come on and talk about math and education, and I can't wait. It's a great conversation. I hope you'll join me. That's next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I just plugged you into business plans. And then next Sunday, we're going to plug you into education. If you need free support on helping you with your business plan, I gave you sba.gov. You can also create business plan or write business plan in the search engine on that very same site. And they have a template that will help you to write out your business plan. If you need any further assistance, contact me. I'd love to help you figure it all out. That's what I'm here for. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening. And again, thank you for joining me on the Business Plugs Mixer. Bye-bye.